If you're watching this, I'm 99% sure you probably use a password somewhere in your day-to-day life. So, if you're using passwords on a regular basis, especially multiple, do you use a password manager? So a password manager makes keeping track of passwords much more convenient and a heck of a lot safer. So is it wise or unwise to use a password manager? Well, obviously, I'm probably going to say that it's wise to use one. But what exactly is a password manager and what makes it so smart and what causes it to help you save time, have more convenience, and have the extra level of security? So password managers, it's kind of like, you might think of it as like a digital book for storing your passwords. So if you're someone that keeps track of your passwords by, say, writing them down on a piece of paper or putting them in a spreadsheet or something like that, or have a notebook, for instance, where you track your passwords, a password manager is basically like a digital book that keeps track of everything you're writing down. And the fact that it's a digital book means that it can travel with you very easily. It's much more convenient because since it is a digital piece of software, it can travel across all your devices and be wherever you are. Where if you're actually writing it down on a sheet of paper or in a notebook, you might not always have that with you whenever you need it. But beyond being a digital book or log, your password manager becomes like a digital vault. So a vault, like a vault at a bank, means that it's extra secure. It's locked down, and the only person that can get into that vault is the owner that has the key or the way to access. And that's what makes a password manager not only convenient because it can go with you anywhere and be on your devices, but also because it can lock things down really easily and simply. And most password managers are designed to be user-friendly because a lot of software engineers recognize that the reason you might not use a password manager is just because it's an extra hassle. It's an extra step. It's one more thing. So most password managers are really easy. It's like a one-click, download it, install it on your computer, add it to your devices if it works across multiple devices, and get going within a few minutes. And so that convenience means that you're saving some time, you're not having to remember hundreds of passwords on a daily basis, and they're locked down and secure. And they're secure because when you have this digital vault securing all your passwords, you don't have to remember all your passwords. You basically put them all in this vault, and then you only have to remember one password, the master password, to get into that vault, just like having a master key to get into, say, a vault at a bank, for instance. There's actually one password manager called LogMeOnce, where you don't even need to remember that master password. If you have a smartphone, for instance, you can use that smartphone to log in to LogMeOnce to your password manager rather than having to remember a master password. There's multiple different ways you can log in, which makes LogMeOnce even more convenient. So if you have the master password, or you're only having to remember one, or you have another way of logging in without having to remember a password, that just makes them much more convenient for you. And it saves you the time of having to log into an account, you forget what your password is, you try 3 or 4 that you thought it might be, it doesn't work, you've got to go reset the password, yada, 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 right? So that just ends up taking moments and sometimes longer out of your day when if you just had a password manager, you just automatically log in. Basically, once you've logged in to the password manager, then anytime you're going to the websites that you commonly visit on your web browser, there's an autofill feature. So the password manager just fills in your username and password and you get right in. So it makes it, once you've logged in for the first time with that master password, it makes it super fast to get into all your accounts on a regular basis. It's kind of like saves you a whole extra click, which in a day when you're accessing lots of accounts, that can save you a lot of time. One of the other benefits of password managers is that it makes it much more secure if you need to share a password, such as with a family member or a friend for some reason, or if you have client accounts that you manage, or if you have team members or a contractor, you can easily share your password in a very secure manner. So while most of us might say share a password over email, or maybe you use some sort of app on your phone to text your password or your credentials to an account, with a password manager, you can avoid that kind of vulnerability. You can have your password manager set up, your team member or the person you want to share with will have the password manager as well, and you can just share the file with them very easily, very conveniently. And that way it stays encrypted so no one in between could ever get access and have those credentials. It also means that if you want to share, say, with a contractor or someone you're working with, but you don't want that person to actually see what your login is. With a password manager, you can share like the file for that account, but they can't see the username and password. They just basically get access into the account without being able to view what your credentials are. So that makes it cool because it's secure, plus it keeps it even more secure that even the person you're sharing with doesn't actually know your credentials. So you can revoke access when you don't want to share any longer, for instance. So that's another benefit of a password manager. Not only is it saving you time, it's just convenient, but it also keeps things much more secure if you're sharing with team members. So when you don't use a password manager, it's unwise to go about your day-to-day life online these days because of the vulnerability. You're actually so much more exposed today more than ever, especially if you use, say, free Wi-Fi networks, if you go to like a coffee shop to work, or if you use Wi-Fi in your business or any other location where you're sharing a Wi-Fi network with other people, you can be hyper exposed. And if you have a password manager, your device can't necessarily get hacked into, and your account credentials at least could not be found and discovered if you have them locked down in a password manager. And when you're not using a password manager, that means if, say, you have your laptop and someone that you don't want to access your online accounts gets a hold of that laptop. Maybe it's a family member, maybe it's someone from a place where you work, or maybe it gets stolen. Well, if your device is there and it's logged into your accounts, or at some point you've logged into your accounts on your web browser, but you don't have a password manager, that means the person can just open up your device, get in, open up your web browser, and go back through and get right back into the website accounts that you would have visited because they're likely saved in your browser. Most browsers like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or Internet Explorer, they just conveniently, naturally save your password so you don't have to remember them the next time you log in. And that's great until somebody else gets a hold of your device, and then that means that they can get right in if you haven't logged out. So with a password manager, if someone else is on your device, that person wouldn't be able to see what your credentials are or get in without having access to the password manager. And a lot of the password managers have a way that you can remotely log out. So if, say, someone has your laptop and you're not in that location, but you have a password manager and you have it installed on your phone, you could log out of your password manager that's on your other device, on your laptop, so that that then is closed down and no one can access it. So there's lots of convenient ways you can keep your devices very secure and keep yourself from being vulnerable to all sorts of chaos that can happen in our lives as we go about working and traveling and living with multiple people in our households that we may not want to always have access to our online accounts. So overall, having a password manager makes a lot of sense because of the time it saves, because of the lack of vulnerability that you have whenever you're using free Wi-Fi networks or you're around other people, and because it makes it secure to be able to share your credentials if you need to with people that you need to share an account with. So there's many options also for password managers out there, and many of them are free or really inexpensive. So the time it takes to go find a password manager that you want, to be able to install it, set it up within a few clicks, that time is mitigated whenever you think of the savings that you get from being able to keep yourself a little more protected, have everything a little more convenient, and have that peace of mind knowing that you're just safer online without having to take that much extra expense or steps to do it. Thank you for watching our video. And this video is brought to you by LogMeOnce, which is the password manager I mentioned where you don't even need to remember a password to get into it. You can sign up for LogMeOnce for free. You can check it out, see what you think. You can use it with your team for business for free and see what you think about it. See if it might be a fit for you and notice how convenient it is to stay secure without even having to think about it. Thanks for watching.